Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Aging and Spirituality podcast. I'm Chris Jensen.
I'm Kathy Lee Taylor.
And we're so happy you joined us. As always, we hope we're going to be inspiring you today. What we're going to talk about is, first of all, would you like to have a more clear, calm mind, better relationships, more fun in life? I hope you didn't say no to any of that.
I didn't.
And that sounds like it's promising a lot, and it is. But you know what? There's one thing that you can do to start opening yourself to all of that, to the clear mind, to great relationships, and a whole lot more joy and fun in life. So stay tuned if you want to find out what that is. And I'm not talking about something that's hard to do. Well, it's something that we can all do. So as we get older, I'm asking you to think about this personally. Are you less or more judgmental of others?
Less.
Good. That's the right answer. But studies show that as we age, we go either way. Either we get more judgmental or a lot less judgmental. And when it just depends on how we deal with life. So what we want to do is be with the crew that's less judgmental. When we're always judging the behavior of others, it creates a lot of ill will in our relationships, but it affects our own state of mind.
For sure.
Behavioral health studies show that negative feelings and actions that result from unnecessary judgment can have a significant impact on our psychological well-being. In fact, studies have shown that unnecessary judgment increases our level of stress, anxiety, and feelings of depression.
Wow.
That was a quote, that last part.
The energy you put out is coming back to you.
It's coming back tenfold,
Yeah.
Right. So let's think about that. When we're judgmental of others, we tend to be judgmental about ourselves.
Yeah.
We create a mental, emotional environment of tension and turbulence. It's a vicious cycle. We judge others harshly, and then we get more judgmental of ourselves, and then we get even more judgmental of other people. It doesn't stop. I can tell you someone that I worked with who was incredibly harsh and judgmental of other people. And what was so interesting to me, that this person was always critiquing others, always judging in a rough way. But yet, when anyone said the slightest thing to her, she was extremely offended. She was sensitive. She would fall apart. I thought, how interesting. Someone who's so rough to others is so offended by the slightest thing coming back at her. And then I realized, it's because all of that negativity she's put out, she's brought it inside. She's making the same judgment on herself.
Right.
So we want to get out of that cycle. We don't want to be in it. And now, before I get into that one big thing I told you about, that's going to completely change that, if you're willing to do it, let's go through some of the basics of having a healthy mind and emotions. And because each of these makes a difference. So this is a nice foundation. So these tips for your well-being are, first of all, relax and reduce stress. There are so many ways to try and do that. Hatha yoga postures, they help us when there's tension in the body. It creates an environment of uncomfortableness. Like, I want you to tense your hands really hard and then try to think of saying something nice. Hard to do, right?
Yeah, no.
Now relax, open your hands and say, hey, yeah. So, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be anything where you release the physical tension. One of the things I think is a great gift to the world is deep relaxation. 10 minutes of just relaxing every single body part.
Oh, wow.
Just by relaxing the body in that way, there's a shift. The yoga master at the yoga center said, if I could just teach people to deeply relax, I wouldn't have to do anything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Deeply relax.
Do that later.
So, yeah. And there's plenty. I mean, you can, our yoga center members page, we have plenty of talking through deep relaxation. It's all free. And it's really great stuff. I would really, or just do it yourself, just relax each body part. It's a phenomenal thing to do. Find ways to learn new things, to be creative. That also, being creative helps to get you out of the negative space. It's a more positive space.
Mhm.
And spending time in nature, go for a walk in the park, go find someplace. You don't have to live in the woods. You can do this in an urban environment. Find someplace where there's some nature. Connect with other people. That's always helpful. Look after your physical health, eat well, exercise, get enough sleep. There's a big problem in the US about sleep. Most people are sleep deprived. So if you get enough sleep, it will make a huge, huge difference. They say between 7 and 9 hours. So, somewhere in that range, if you can get that sleep, it will make a big difference in how judgmental you are about others and yourself and how you react to things. I can tell you, I was in this grocery store, and I ran into this woman with my husband described it later as, oh, you ran into a Karen, and
Karen. Yikes.
and I was looking at these different cheeses, and I moved the cart away and I went around the side, and so this woman was standing there in front of the cheeses, and so I just went back to the side, and so she started yelling at me. She said, "You moved away and I'm here now." She said, "You're too close to me." And I said, "Well, oh, okay, I'll figure it out." And she said, "You don't like this, do you?" And she was just carrying on.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very freaky. And in that moment, I just stood back, and part of me wanted to say something back to her. But then I felt, I felt this poor person, is really having a hard time.
Yeah.
You're having a hard time in life. And so I just took my cart and moved away. And then I heard her yelling later in the back. I don't know whether she was
Somebody else.
yelling about me or somebody else, but you know what? It was interesting because I was able to, send her some love and all that, but it still unnerved me being around
Of
her.
course.
I forgot something I went in for. So, but it was kind of funny when I got home and I told my husband about it. And he said, "Oh, you ran into a Karen." And I said, "Yeah, that really made me laugh because I thought, oh yeah."
Yeah.
But all these women that everyone's calling Karens, that they just get so irate over nothing, they're hurting inside.
Big time.
They're hurting inside big time, and so we don't want to judge them. So now I'm getting to the whole point of what I wanted to share, that I hope it inspires you. And this is the one thing that you can do. It's all about changing your attitude. And Patanjali, a great yogi, this is a quote from him, and we're going to go through each of these 4 steps. And he said, if you want to have an undisturbed mind, which translates also into better relationships and getting more in touch with the inner joy, this is what you need to do. Be happy for those who are happy. Be compassionate toward the unhappy. Be delighted for those who are virtuous, and be indifferent toward the wicked.
Oh, that's so cool.
I want to go through each step of this because
great.
it all sounds nice, right? But let's think about it. Being happy for those who are happy sounds easy, but are you really? Often when one person is genuinely happy about some good fortune, an opportunity, a good spiritual experience, sometimes the people around that person say things to diminish their happiness. Have you had that happen to you? Have you ever done that? I mean, I remember sharing with some folks about a new project I was working on. A quote friend immediately started saying, "Yeah, but," and started poking holes in the value of the project and whether it would work. And what that does, the effect of it is it kills the person's enthusiasm, and enthusiasm is very conducive towards spiritual energy and taking you forward. And it creates, for the person making the judgment, it creates a lot more mental turbulence for them. So you want to catch yourself. If someone is happy about something around you, be happy for them. If you want to judge and think about everything that's wrong with why they're happy, maybe you can just kind of write it down or put it aside or something, and just try in that moment to be genuinely happy for them.
It's funny. I think sometimes people can't handle that excitement, that level of happiness. Maybe it's just something that's happening for them that day, or maybe it is something that's ongoing in their life, but they get that burst of big enthusiasm and excitement, and they want to be happy for them, but they're not feeling it. Somehow they can't hold it. They don't have the capacity for it. You see that a lot with little children, because I can remember being like overly enthusiastic little kid and getting squashed all the time. Like, you're like, what? But looking back, it was because they didn't have the capacity to be happy.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself, like turning at that moment and not able to hold that energy of being happy for that other person, think about why. Think about, how do I increase my capacity to be happy here?
Yes, that's really a good point, because really, when you're not happy for them, it's because you're not happy with yourself.
Yeah.
And so you want to recognize that, and even just trying to be happy for them, trying to not say anything that it would squish their happiness, will move you more in that direction.
Yeah, well, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, that's right. Fake it till you make it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes the person, when they lose enthusiasm or their spiritual energy is diminished, guess what? So is yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two is be compassionate toward those who are unhappy. Now, what is your attitude truly when you're around someone who's unhappy? Do you want to get away from them so their unhappiness won't rub off on you or affect you in some way? Oh, they're a downer. I don't want to go down with them. You say, oh, this is another misunderstanding on the yoga path. Oh, that's their karma. That is such a huge misunderstanding. It may be, but if you're around this person, it's certainly yours to do anything you can
Help.
help, to be compassionate for them. Do something. You see someone who's unhappy. I mean, you don't have to solve their problem, but you could be listening to them. You could be sending them love or light, praying for them, or doing something on some level for them. Let your compassion flow. Let your heart open. Very often when someone's unhappy, people kind of shun them.
Right.
And that's what they don't need.
That's definitely what they don't need. I mean, if nothing, just ask them, how can I help?
Yeah, yeah. And even if there's nothing you can do to help, just to be there,
be present,
know that you care, can make a big difference.
right.
And make a big difference for you, because you're going to be around people who are happy. You're going to be around people who are unhappy, whether you like it or not. You're going to be around. Right. So Patanjali says, with these attitudes, your energy goes upward to the heart center, and your heart will open, and there'll be a whole change of consciousness for you and for the people around you.
Absolutely. So
be delighted for the virtuous. Now, this is another one that's a little tricky. Now, this is another attitude. When people aren't doing it, they don't cop to it. They really don't. Are you really delighted for someone who's achieved a lot by their focused actions? Someone who's done really well in the world, or someone who on the spiritual path that you're on, who appears to be making progress, more progress than you, and someone who is genuinely open-hearted and compassionate? Most people are not necessarily delighted, but they try somehow to diminish the person who is more successful at their job, their relationship, or the spiritual path. I remember one person at the yoga center who was asked to do a very specific project for the yoga master there. And people, whether it's at work or on the spiritual path, they always want to be around the head person, And so another person who I would say was jealous, said, well, she may be good at some things, but she certainly isn't good at fine detail. And I thought, wow, what if instead your attitude is to be genuinely happy for that person, instead of, trying to diminish, like, this person's being successful. Oh, well, it got handed to them. Oh, well, No. What if we just shed all that stuff? All of that is our own feelings of inadequacy.
And being separate.
Being separate, yes. But, you see someone being successful. And again, just try to be happy for them.
Yeah.
Delighted in it. And like Patanjali says, be delighted for those who are virtuous.
Right.
And if you aren't feeling that, just try to be kind and uplifting and, just let your energy go in that direction. The delight will come.
Right.
But if you go off onto finding what's wrong with them and sharing that with the immediate world, then it's going to take you south. It's going to take you in a negative direction.
Absolutely. That's a good one.
And if you can't be, I'm going to mention a practice at the end called walking in their shoes, because that will help you to make that crossover. But I would just want to go through the other one first, which is be indifferent to the wicked. Patanjali uses the word wicked, but if someone is being really destructive in their words and actions, if they're uncaring, I worked with someone who I thought was very abusive, and your immediate response, mine was, before I checked myself, was to slam them back, with their same energy. But Patanjali says that's only going to give more energy to their negative behavior and create more mental, emotional turbulence for you. It will not create an undisturbed mind for you. It's going to create a more disturbed mind for you. So he says, just be indifferent towards them. You don't have to do anything. Just don't do anything. Be indifferent. Don't be around them. Walk away from it. I remember parent effectiveness training. Like they said, when your child is throwing a tantrum, the worst thing you can do is give them any kind of attention, positive or negative. Just ignore them.
My son had made a great term for this when he went through this in high school, and he realized that there's just some people that are never going to mix with you well. He would say, I nothing you. What does that mean? I nothing you.
Yeah.
That means I'm not going to punch you in the face, and I'm not going to, give you a kiss. You're nothing to me. But that's how he was able to deal with it without, disturbing the energy.
Yeah.
And nothing you.
Yeah, that's a great way. I mean, it's a great thing to do. Indifference towards it. If you're a law enforcement officer, you have to do something if someone breaks the law, but you don't have to have a negative attitude towards that person.
Yeah. Ill intent here.
Yeah, you don't have to. Just indifference. But indifference. You don't want to put yourself in an abusive situation, but you don't want to go there. And when you have these attitudes, Patanjali says, and I know from personal experience, that when you are practicing these attitudes, your mind gets so much more peaceful. And your emotions are more harmonized, the compassion and love flow, and you're just not so stressed. And everything's easier. So when you're having a hard time doing this, you want to try to put yourself in the other person's shoes, whether it's being happy for the happy, or being compassionate for the unhappy, being delighted in the virtuous, or being indifferent to the wicked. Whichever it is you're having trouble with, maybe all four, that's fine. You want to just try walking in their shoes. So I know that sounds cliche, but there's an actual practice. And the practice is, you see this person sitting in front of you, and then you go into the heart center, which is along the spine behind your heart, or right in the front here. And you just visualize a pink cloud, and you just feel like this pink cloud is moving out to this person. And as you do that, try to literally see yourself standing there or sitting there in their shoes. Try to sense what it's like to think, feel, and act like them. And then at the end of that practice, do get out of their shoes and bring them.
Definitely.
But when I did this practice for someone I worked with who was a major irritant to me, this guy was, abusive and obnoxious, everything I put into the jerk category. And as long as I felt like that, that's what kept happening.
Yeah.
But when I did this practice, I felt this person's pain. I felt it so deeply, and my heart melted.
Wow.
Yeah, it just melted. And what happened was, because I now had this loving compassion and this, feeling for this person, there was a shift. And
Wow. All you did was change your response to his energy.
that's exactly right. Instead of going there, because I was going there by being really annoyed with this person and just, instead of going there, by walking in his shoes, I got to feel his,
Yeah.
and then I forgot all about the externals, So as I said, do this one thing. It's 4 things, but it's
But
really,
did he become less abusive after that? Because
yeah,
you kind of took the oxygen out of his,
yeah,
doing
yeah.
it.
No,
So
he was different behavior.
see, there you go.
Different behavior.
That's powerful, you guys.
You can't in the face of that kind of open-hearted, loving energy. You just, something happens.
You got your Wonder Woman badge on. They're not going to get past that.
Right. So, this, as I said at the beginning, anyone can do this because it's an attitude change. And it's a matter of working with it. And, practice one at a time or do all 4 of them. But it's all part of the same package, this attitude shift. Your life will be changed and the people around you will appreciate it.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff. And if you're interested in Patanjali, you'll find all kinds of stuff. He's ancient yogi. You'll find
Yeah, we should do more Patanjali. That's good stuff.
Yeah, his work is really valuable. So I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you'll work with it. Just
do it.
be open to these attitude changes because it makes a difference.
Yes, we challenge you. There's got to be one person in your life that torques you.
Right.
That go do this exercise on them and change it. Change your response to them and just see them like float out of your life.
I was amazed at how many people I found.
You can do that with.
that I could do this with. So.
I love that. That's helpful. Thank you for that. That's great stuff.
Well, let us know how you're doing with it if you need help with the attitude shift and the being the other person's shoes. So
yes. See you next week. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.